is based on truth. Talk about Hive. PG rated, 84 minutes. It tells of the tragedy of the aftermath of the war in Kosovo in the late 1990s, specifically the impact on the village of Krusha Made. And I've totally mashed that name, but look it up, Krusha, separate word E or E, and third word Madhe. Focus is one woman whose name is Farija Hoti, whose husband disappeared 7 years earlier, leaving behind not only her, but their young daughter and son. Now, Farija and the other women of the village who face similar upheaval form a collective to try to make ends meet. But in this male-dominated society, women seeking to forge their own path are denounced. Farija also cares for her wheelchair-bound 75-year-old father-in-law. That includes helping him to bathe. The Women's Collective encourages its members to obtain a driver's licence and adapt to further their station in life as it exists. Farija is having major financial difficulties. Money has all but dried up. She's a beekeeper, taking over that pursuit from her husband, but that certainly does not pay the way. So it is, she decides to try her hand at making ajvar in commercial quantities. That's red pepper sauce, and selling it through a supermarket. The backlash is immediate and nasty. Even Farija's daughter and father-in-law at first reject what she's doing. But momentum gradually swings, and more women get involved in the peeling and cooking that's required to create the sauce. All the while, Farija continues her search for her missing, presumed dead husband. And I should quickly add, there are many other women like Farija who resile at the fact that the government has not done enough to locate their missing loved ones. The more Hive develops, the more you gain an understanding of just what's going on here. It's hardly a pretty picture, in fact, far from it. It takes a while to cotton on, although you realise from the outset, Dave, that something is amiss. Just how bad and how shocking it is, though, isn't made clear until some time into the film.
That's true, and I think this is a film that's going to open up a lot of people's eyes. I, for one, didn't know that this kind of thing exists in Kosovo. That to the point where if a woman gets a driver's license, she's suddenly the scorn of the town. So I found this to be an absolutely brilliant watch, a fascinating watch where I learnt things as the film went along. But I loved the performance of Yulka Gashi. I thought she was absolutely fantastic in this film. She didn't overact like some actresses might have in that role, where she went through some pretty harrowing things as a character. But I just thought it was a remarkable film. I wondered at times if it could have gone a little bit harder and a little bit harsher. But look, at the end of the day, I found this to be a film that I learnt something from, and I thoroughly enjoyed sitting down and watching it.
It was a character study, really, of her. I mean, she's totally believable. She's resolute throughout. Takes a lot for her character to let down her guard, which she does on a couple of occasions. She's the glue that binds the picture together, Greg, and around whom the events unfold.
Yeah, it's a character study, and the story focuses on Farija and her daily struggles to cope with the hand that fate has dealt her there. It's something of a companion piece to the film we talked about last week, Quo Vadis Aida, as both deal with the conflict in the Serbia and Bosnian region there. Although this one takes it from a different perspective. It's set in the aftermath of the war, looks at the role of women in society, the men in society there. It's an examination of grief, the emotional cost of war, culture roles and gender roles and misogyny there. And I thought it's been beautifully shot there by Alex Bloom there. This is only the first feature film for the director, Blerta Basholi there. She's done a good job there of studying the society, slowly teasing out all these details about Farija, her family, and the community in which she lives in. It's a bit of a slow burn film that may take a while for some people to warm up to or get involved in. And maybe its slow pace will be a bit off-putting for some people. But yeah, as Dave said there, it's certainly an insight into a way of life we know nothing about.
Well, it's a slice of life pick, carries all that much more clout because it's underpinned by truth. And that's notwithstanding the fact Peter, that some scenes have been added for heightened dramatic impact.
Exactly, and what is so impressive about this film is that it's part of a slew of films that have been made about the Balkan conflicts in the 1990s, and also about the way men subjugate women, and how women's role in all of this is so poorly realised in terms of their effect and impact on society. So this film is very affirming in terms of the lead actress's role and in terms of the society that she has to function in, which is a very competitive and male-oriented one. So a bit like Griffiths and so many other films that have been made about the post-conflict situation, especially for women, I was very impressed by this film, and I also like the natural rhythm that the film develops, that it starts off very carefully to focus on the lead actress, and then to gradually and eventually unpeel the layers, if you like to put it that way, in terms of what she has to face and what's going on in this world. So I was very impressed by the film.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I thought the support cast was very, very good too. Kun Lajki is the father-in-law. Huxley, most credible. He's the one in the wheelchair. The austere surroundings add weight to the situation that confronts I keep on mispronouncing her name, but Farij and her loved ones. I thought the surroundings were, I mean, obviously looked real, and that the film makes a point of highlighting the impact that the patriarchy is having on Farija, and I thought as a viewer, that was really hard to take, incredibly hard to take, because there's no question that women were second-class citizens and doing the most basic of things that we take for granted, they couldn't do. So I thought it was an impressive work, I thought it was a disturbing work, and a real triumph for, as you say, Greg, the first-time filmmaker, Blurta Basholi. Score out of 10 from you, Dave?
I'm going to give it 7 out of 10, and also I wanted to point out it's the first film in Sundance Film Festival history to actually win all 3 of the major awards as well.
Well, that is something. That really is something. So, what about you, Greg?
Well, this is Kosovo's official entry into the Oscars for this year. Look, I found it a little bit slow burning, and late at night, it sort of wasn't the film that sort of made you sit up and take notes. So I give it 6. Maybe I need to go back and see it a second time.
Ah, okay. And what about you, Peter?
I was very impressed by the film, 9 out of 10.
Wow. I'm giving it a 7.5 out of 10. I also thought it was a good film, certainly worth seeing.